Tip, I hope you had a great, great birthday.
I did. It was good. Yeah. My birthday was on Sunday, but the celebrating was done on Saturday.
Oh,
Well, we got to wait till we're
All right. Yeah.
live streaming. I want to
yeah,
hear
we'll
all
get into
about
the
this.
details. I was
I'll
just
wait.
trying to
Yeah,
let
I'll
you-
wait. Yeah. Didn't do much
Yeah.
on Sunday. Just kind of hung out with Becca and the kids.
There you go.
That's all you can ask for these days, Tip.
Yep.
It is all you can ask for. Man, we're
What you got?
we're
We're
just
close.
busy, dude. Oh, yeah,
I
there
thought
ain't no
you were
doubt.
saying. I thought you were saying we're close.
No, we are close, dude. I was looking at the calendar, and yeah, I mean, we ain't got time. Not a lot of time. No
Not a lot
time
of time.
to start a new diet.
It's
no
already
time to-
almost August. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna put in my True Classics T-shirt order here soon.
Hey,
where
there
I
we go.
usually
Now
get,
we're
like-
talking. There
I
we
usually
go.
get like 12 of the same exact T-shirt, and I just
They're so great.
just rotate them through.
True classic.
They actually,
you gotta put me on.
they are
these
good.
things.
Murph, got
You
you.
never-
You got to get some.
Well, yeah, trueclassictees.com, I think it is.
Is that
they
a
literally
is that a free plug? Are you giving free plugs?
That
out on
was a
this
free.
show?
That was a free plug.
If it's a
But if they're
product
listening,
that I yeah, I mean, listen, but on a serious note, dude, like you get obviously the more you buy, but I think right now I was looking last night, 9 T-shirts was going to be like $130.
Wow.
they're comfortable.
Yeah, and then if
too.
you go
They're
up
so
to
comfortable.
12, it's like 55% off or whatever it is, comes free. They got other stuff too. Like I've never had any of their pants or other shirts. Like I literally just get the plain tee, 2X, fits a fat guy good, so that it's like
Is it
tight,
like
little-
snug in the shoulders? But
Murph, with your,
It
I was
is.
about to say, with your
I like
shoulders
it.
and
Oh,
arms,
Murph, I
they're
mean,
gonna
yeah,
look
you're-
good on you. I'm not.
I like
yeah,
it.
they're
your
gonna look real
workout
good.
regimen. You probably could go. Honestly, you probably could go a large. I
Large.
think.
that's
what I-
that's
yeah.
what I wear. Is large. But it depends on the brand. Because some
No,
shirts.
Well, go large. Yeah,
Some
you can go large
shirts-
Murph,
I'm,
I got plenty over here at the house. I'll bring you
Yeah.
some to try
Okay,
on.
there we go. A little trial run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I go 2X, but I could. It'd be
Go
a little
XL?
snug. I could go XL, but I would,
Yeah.
it'd be rough. You'd see like the outline of my belly button if I did XL probably. It's
Well,
a good tee though, really comfortable, and they're soft. I mean,
Affordable.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought some tees on Amazon, so we'll see how they.
Some
I'm going to
Lululemon
Mexico,
tees?
boys, this weekend.
You got some Lululemon tees?
Cabo,
Mexico
San
this
Lucas.
weekend?
Cabo San Lucas.
Oh, wow.
Whoa!
So you're just gonna
Nice.
just a casual trip to Mexico.
You
I
know,
mean, my God.
going out there to scout some receivers. You got a couple guys down there that can run. They can get after it. So
They probably do. I mean, the Japanese beat the Americans by about 40 points, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
it's embarrassing.
And then they got beat by some other country, right? Germany or something.
Wow, America almost
Do we know
lost
the
to South
details of,
Sudan
like-
in basketball.
I mean, we are just
We're
mess
Well,
as a
this
na-
is
as
the
a nation.
same. Listen,
Are
this
we
is the
even the greatest country in the world anymore? At anything are we good at?
Last time I checked, we were.
Holy
We got
cow.
to talk about this starting lineup for the USA men's basketball team. I mean, how is Anthony Edwards not in the starting 5? He's the 6th man coming off the bench, and it's like you gotta be a minimum age of like 35 to be in the starting rotation. That's what it seems like.
Here's the other thing. I mean, there's so many things to this, but how do we Kawhi Leonard, which that guy, he needs to hang
The guy
him
hasn't
up,
played
but-
in like 3 seasons.
No, he's on a max deal. He load manages all season long, and then he never plays when it matters anyway. And yet these are guys that we think can play in the NFL, according to some of the NBA players. But anyway, he gets cut or whatever happened, and they bring in Derek White. I mean, if you're going to bring in another Celtic, Jaylen Brown's the best player on the team.
Yeah. So that's
And he gets nothing.
actually
It's the Nike thing.
yeah,
Have
that's
you seen that?
that's exactly what it is.
I mean, boy, we can't in any industry or organization in this country, we cannot get away
Or
from
government.
the elites just running the show and nothing being done on merit or anything
What position
else.
does Derek White play?
It's like a guard.
Go,
It's like
okay.
a two
Two
guard.
guard kind of. Yeah. He's little though for a two guard.
Yeah, he
Kind of.
defends well. He's a good defender.
Yeah, he's a
Shoots
good
the three.
player. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but he's not better than Jalen Brown.
As Tatum. Yeah, and he's probably not using other people's quotes like Jason Tatum does.
I tell you what, it's
Well,
completely side
cringe.
note. I watched a lot of the American Media Day. I enjoyed it. It's good stuff. Our boy
Good.
Sumrall was on there. I mean, that guy's Sumrall isms, whatever you want to call him. Like,
Yeah.
he just has all these things. And our boy Patrick Jenkins was on there,
Ooh, shoo.
dialed in,
All right.
echoing
Still
the
waiting on the
sentiments.
weight room footage.
I know, echoing the sentiments of Sumrall. It was good. It was a good. Watched pretty much everybody, but Poggi was not there. I guess he had a death in the family, so they had the assistant.
Jeez.
Yeah. Be careful.
I was going to be a real smart ass. I got
Assistant head coach was there. Silverfield was there. It was good. Check
Well,
them
you
out.
remember
They're on
last
ESPN
year.
Plus. You can go back and rewatch them.
Last year, Poggi had that. He got all fired up.
I know.
Like,
That's what I was
maybe 'cause
hoping
you got
for.
us picked last, and he slammed the desk, and then they won 3 games. But anyway, hey, you ready to crank this show up a little bit? We can talk.
Let's do it.
We can talk
I'm fired up.
Tip's birthday and some other stuff. Freaking spontaneous Mexico trip. Well, you can't hide money, can you, Tip? It's unbelievable.
Well, here's the deal, Sprush. When you die, your debt dies with you. So I'm just racking up credit cards.
Is that accurate?
Oh, I don't know.
I think
They
that's
made that
false.
up.
I think you passed.
Well,
that
if I
right
die,
on to
then
the
my wife,
Murphy boys.
is going to
They'll
be a
figure it out.
millionaire because of my life insurance policy. So I have that going for me.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, Jeff, let me take a sip of my poppy. Another shameless plug, free plug, and we'll get this show going. Watermelon flavors, good, man. Good evening, happy Tuesday, and welcome into the #1 Group of 5 football podcast in all of the world. This is the Group of 5 guys. We are the Group of 5 guys. If you're new here, you don't know anything about us, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of 5 football programs, the voice that is unheard of in the mainstream sports media. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating. Leave a comment and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can go to groupof5guys.com and get you some Group of 5 Guys merch, some Group of 5 Guys swag. On this episode, our main topics of discussion: top linebackers, top running backs, and Tip's favorite top specialists to watch out for in the 2024 season. We also got some news, some updates, things of that, plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible.
That's
The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of 5.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of 5 programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
So I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of 5 because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Hey, before we get going on this thing, if you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter, go over to the YouTube. The live chat in there gets pretty good most of the time. I know we already got a couple of people in there joining us. Welcome, everybody. But go over to that live chat. We'll have some good discussion. Throw up some questions. We'll try to monitor it as best we can. By the way, I just now figured out how to do it on my phone. You guys know I've never been able to do it. I can never keep up with the lives, but
Look at you.
just got the YouTube app. Well, technology
proud of you,
starting
Dad.
to catch up, man. Thanks, man. Starting to get caught up. But anyway, this is the second show in a row we kind of got to start off on a little bit of a somber note. Utah State had a player, Andre Selden Jr., defensive back. I believe it was a cliff diving accident. Passed away over the weekend. So, man, and Utah State, guys, I don't even mean this to be like a joke or anything. Like, they're having the worst couple of years. It's mostly on Blake Anderson. You know, it's sort of followed him, but he has just had an awful couple of years, and I just feel for those players, man. And if we have anybody from Utah State that listens, fans, players, y'all just stick together, man, and love on each other, be there for each other, because this is like, I've never seen anything like it. And just for the listeners, just to kind of walk you through the timeline of it. So Blake Anderson, who has now been relieved of his duties, but 2019, his wife passed away of cancer when he was at Arkansas State. Then in 2022, his son died of suicide. And then they have the investigation, and Blake Anderson gets fired a couple weeks ago. I don't know the details on it, but essentially they're saying he didn't properly report a sexual assault by one of his players. And then now you have a player on that roster. So you know, the team is kind of going through that with the coach, you know, and then now you have this. And man, I just like, I can't imagine, dude. I mean, I remember, you know, Jeff Tipp when Jadarius passed, and that was 10 years after we were done playing. And it was like, you know, everybody that ever came through during his years were crushed. And so I just cannot imagine right now. So Utah State, man, our thoughts, our prayers are going out for you. If you are the praying type, man, just pray for those guys. Hopefully, you know, nowadays there's all the resources for counselors and all of that stuff. So hopefully those guys are being taken care of. But man, I feel for them, and I know I just hope that they got to get to the season and just get to playing, I think, and rally, you know. And it's not all about winning or whatever, but I think no matter what happens for them this season, I think is going to be a special year for them, because the bond that they'll have after this year is going to be off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, football and sports in general, just always something that brings everyone together, especially in tough times. So, like you said, praying for everybody over there, his family, and it's just a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, we try to lighten it up a little bit. Tip, happy birthday. Sorry to go that route on you, but let's hear about it. You started talking about it before the show. What'd you do this weekend?
Yeah, appreciate it, boys. So, yeah, my birthday was on Sunday, but Sunday, you know, just kind of laid low, just hung out with the wife and kids all day on Sunday. But on Saturday, went to something that's called Wake Fest. I don't know if you all have heard of it, but for those of you that don't know what it is, it's like a wakeboard competition
Nice.
at a lake in Middle Tennessee area.
What lake is it at?
Center Hill.
Nice.
Yeah, so me and a group of friends got on the water about 9 a.m. and then we met up with Zeke and his family and spent the whole day with them and watched some, I guess they're professional wakeboarders do like tricks and stuff. It was awesome. It's a great experience. It was my first time ever going to that. It's been going on for a while. I don't know how many years it's been going on, but that was my first time. We had an amazing time. It was fun. An all day event thing. It was a blast.
Now, have you wakeboarded at all? Or did you try to get up on
have.
there?
So, well, we were going to. We just didn't have enough time on Saturday, but this summer I have actually started to the beginning stages of wakeboarding. I've been on the lake with Zeke, probably like 5 times this summer, and have learned how to the basics and fundamentals of how to wakeboard. So it's
go.
Have you,
fun.
Jeff?
Yeah. Look, Sprouse, this right here, they're just a
California,
pure athlete. No, I'm just a pure athlete. You give me a board, ball, bat, anything, I can do it. No, I grew up snowboarding, so like
that's fair.
It was an easier transition going to wakeboarding, but I've only done it a couple times.
I'll be transparent. I tried and I could not stand up on the thing. Now, from what I was told, it's a lot more difficult because the boat was not like a wake boat. Like we were just something about the angle of the rope was like they were like, oh, it's way more difficult, and you're big. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is.
Easy, buddy.
But dude, I was real cocky thinking like I could just hold on, like I'll be fine. But that thing ripped off my arms off.
I would have a feeling it is easier with the wakeboard. I've never done it on a non-wakeboard or wake boat before, but I feel like it probably is easier with
because the rope is up higher on like a wake.
Well, and those wake boats, they create their own wake behind the boat. So it's like once you get up, you get in that wake, and once you get in there, it's like you're in the pocket is what they call it. Like you're basically just
getting up's the hardest part.
And that's where you see the people that let go of the rope and they just keep on going. Right?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Cool.
I haven't gotten
that
far
yet. Don't let go
of
the rope, Sprouse.
Yeah, the famous words of Eric Spoelstra circa 2012. Game 5, Heat Thunder, up by 40 points.
No question.
Well,
Tip, a couple guys here are wishing you a happy birthday in the chat, and just want to shout those guys out. Invincible is in there. Kasky, our boy's in there. Everything Texas State.
What's up, Kasky?
TNS RV and Sport. So if you're looking for a sponsor, not sure where you're at. Always look for that. Thanks for being
there. If you could get us an RV.
That's for real. Wrap it.
I mean, we're
traveling the country.
100%.
Cuthbert Hutton's in there. Scotty B, Brett Johnson, Baker Loy. So some new names in there. Appreciate you guys joining the live chat. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, hop over to YouTube. There's a good live chat that goes back and forth. So appreciate you guys checking in on that. I did have one quick bit of G5 news that we didn't talk about on the show because it happened. Tedford stepping down.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Hate that for Coach Tedford and the Fresno State Bulldogs. I mean, one of the best coaches out there, quarterback guru, stepping down for health reasons. He didn't coach the bowl game last season. Tim Skipper's taken over, who he did coach in that bowl game, got the win against New Mexico State, but 2 Mountain West championships, 2 top 25 finishes, and 3 10-plus win seasons for Coach Tedford at Fresno State. Also had a great career at Cal, so wish him the best. Hope he gets healthy, and I hope he kind of stays on in like some type of advisory role. I hope, but it's a big loss right before the season.
100%. Well, you saw what Air Force coach Troy Calhoun said at Mountain West Media Days. Nobody's done more for football on the West Coast than Jeff Tedford. I mean, he talked about him being a big part of Oregon's rise to what they are today. Like you said, Cal, and then of course Fresno State. So, two completely different circumstances, but brutal losses. Head coaches, this close to the season is tough for both Fresno State and Utah State. So, be interesting to see how both of those play out. But anyway, I got to tell you guys about the Rock the South concert that the wife and I attended Thursday and Friday. We did a 2-day, 2 out of the 3 days. Man, first things first, former Georgia Southern defensive. Listen, Gavin Adcock is a star.
Is
he?
I
know they might think what they want in Statesboro about the guy, and I realize he did something pretty idiotic, and we had him on this show to talk about it. And I hope he remembers that So the main person Lauren and I wanted to see was Warren Ziders, who, by the way, you guys are welcome. We saw at the bar in Mobile when he was, I mean, I don't want to say an unknown, but the guy goes
on the
from
rise.
Playing at a bar. Here's the thing, both him and Gavin Adcock, I was talking to my wife about this. Warren Ziders is playing at a bar on a Wednesday night in Mobile a year and a half ago, and now he's opening up for Jelly Roll in front of like 70,000 people and going on tour with Jelly Roll, which it's amazing how quick that happens. And then Gavin Adcock a year ago is playing at the Blue Room in front of like 400 college kids. Dude, listen. So anyway, the first night we went, and it was Warren Ziders and then Jelly Roll. We stayed for like a couple of Jelly Roll songs and then bounced. The Jelly Roll crowd is an odd bunch. They're just, he's a I don't even know what you describe. He's like half rap, half country, a little bit of rock. And all of his songs are about how he used to be a drug addict, basically. So no disrespect to anybody, but that's kind of his fan base too.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we gotta, it's like 11 at night at this point. Like we gotta head on out. But anyway, the second day, Gavin Adcock was the first act, the opener, and it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. So like, I'm thinking there's not going to be a whole lot of people there. We'll get there. We'll get parking nice and close. We get up there. We'll listen to the guy. I'm not, whatever. So we pull up in the parking lot, and it's in a farm in Coleman, Alabama. Which, if you ever been to Coleman, Alabama, it's something else. So we park in like a field, basically, and there's like kids like college age, maybe a little older. They're tailgating, and like they're all blasting music. They're all playing beer pong, shotgun, and me and Lauren are driving, and we're like listening to the few Adcock songs that I have on my phone, and we're like, you think anybody's gonna know him or like know any of his songs, bro? The tailgate, they were all like listening and singing, drunkenly singing his stuff. And then we get out there to the show. First of all, the guy comes out with a handle or a fifth of Jack, and he's just taking pulls like between songs. And then it starts pouring rain, like absolute downpour. And like, it was like perfect because he's that kind of guy, right? Like just a not give a shit kind of guy. And his fans are the same. It's pouring rain. He starts playing Ain't No Cure, like his very first song. And his microphone goes out for like the first half of the song because of the rain. And the whole crowd, every word. And I was like, this guy is a superstar, an absolute superstar. And then like, he's a hell of a performer. I think he's better live than when you listen to like on the phone or whatever.
He's an entertainer.
But he put on a hell of a show.
Good
And
for
then
him.
funny enough, the main like host of the event got on stage after that and was like, I'm going to tell y'all right now, in 5 years, he's going to be the headliner of this thing. Like they were all on it. And then, so after him, Big and Rich performed. I mean, they were fun. They have all the country music people don't seem like they like them. I feel like they're not like authentic, but they put on a really good show. And then Nelly came out, which is who I wanted to see. Nelly. But bro, Nelly's like 50 years old, dude. And he it drives me crazy when these guys try to play their new stuff. That's something like that. It's like, man, we are not here
Play the
to
classics.
hear your new song, buddy.
Yeah.
Play Country Grammar and Air Force Ones, some of the other stuff. But he played all those. He was good. And then it started lightning and they put a delay on, so we were like, all right, we're going to bounce.
Do you think
Like, we
do you
didn't
think
stay.
there's any better feeling than thousands of people at a
No.
concert singing a song that you wrote? Like it gives me chills. Like you sent us that video, Sprouse,
Yeah.
of Gavin Adcock playing. It gave me chills. Like you could hear everybody singing his
Yeah.
song. It just, man.
I would start crying. I think like that. What a moment, especially
Yeah,
that, dude. It's
you want to know a
pouring
better
rain.
moment than that? When you got a sold out crowd in front of you and just throw a touchdown pass or make a touchdown catch
Wow.
or something to win the game. It's a
Or
pretty
make
damn good feeling too.
Make a great block. that
That's
everyone
that's
cheers
the key.
for.
You get out on the side and you run the alley, Sprouse, and you just
You
take out.
get out there on a screen or something.
I'm
I
telling
think
you.
That's good stuff. But anyway, dude, at the concert, this is the thing I want to tell you about. These kids, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how many people are there, but there's probably, I don't know, 50,000 people at any given time. And every male under the age of probably 27 looks identical. They all got the same haircut. They got this haircut that's it's like they put a hat on and like took a curl thing and like
Yes.
just curled all around their
Flipped
head.
it.
I never seen anything like it. My wife was literally like, we're like sitting there, we're like, were we next to these people yesterday? No, we weren't. They just look exactly the same. Same crew. They're wearing the same clothes. And they got this. This is something else too. And I realized it was a country thing. This is like the new popular thing. It's like this blue collar look. But a lot of these guys, like I'm not sitting here to tell you I'm blue collar by any means. I'm white collar as they come in my profession. But like if you're going to dress in, Carhartt and Ariat and Wranglers, like you got to start pick up some hay or a weight for God's sake, or maybe start eating some red meat, because these kids, I can tell you ain't never started a lawnmower, let alone milked a cow or anything, anything blue collar. Say, look, buddy, like daddy
You're right.
financed you. Daddy financed an F-150 for you, and you spend all your money on a lift kit, and you put some rough country seat covers in there. You can't just throw on a cowboy hat and a Carhartt T-shirt and some jeans and pick your blue collar. It don't work that way.
No,
Anyway.
no, it doesn't. Kasky in the chat said, "Old man Sprouse going on a good rant," and then TNS, he goes, "They all look like alpacas that just got shaved."
That's what dude. Some of them even got the curly. It's a real curly back.
Oh,
It's like,
that's great.
It's like a weird mullet. I don't know.
I don't understand it.
I don't get it. But
We should
anyway,
probably talk some
before
football.
we talk football, no.
20 minutes
before
in.
we talk football, couple of our partners, Prize Picks. I know it's the off season for football, but you do actually have some of the NFL season totals on player props. Download the Prize Picks app. Use our code GOFG. Get you a free $100 to start the 2024 football season. Also, if you're going to any games, make sure you check it out on SeatGeek first. See if those tickets are available there. Use our code, all one word, group of 5 guys. I believe it's a $20 off on your purchase. So Prize Picks, GOFG, SeatGeek, group of 5 guys, all one word. Let's talk about defense. Let's talk about linebackers. I mean, again, I think I said this last week, but a lot of these guys I'm looking at, I feel like have been in college for a really long time. I think we're going to have a little more consensus at linebacker than we did at the defensive back spot last week. Number one for me, I think he's number one. I mean, the guy's an All-American, pretty much consensus. Jason Henderson out of Old Dominion. I got a chance to see him down in Statesboro last year. And you guys know, I mean, I jokingly always talk about people's the way they look, you know, but the guy's got horseshoe triceps, and more than anything though, every play. I don't think he had. I think he didn't have a ton of tackles in that game. I mean, he had double-digit tackles. I think every game he did, but he's one of those guys where every single play, when there's a pile, he's always on it, you know. And so every play is just around the football. The guy last year, 22 tackles in a loss at Coastal Carolina.
That's insane.
But averaged 14.5 tackles per game, which led the country. That guy, no doubt in my mind, is going to be in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. No doubt in my mind. He is a little undersized compared to if he's going to stay inside in the NFL. But to me, that's the perfect Senior Bowl guy. You know, undersized guy, underrated because of where he plays, but really good player.
Almost like a Vander Esch type, right?
Yeah.
For the Cowboys. I mean, he because he was kind of, when he was going to the NFL, he was kind of undersized, tall, but kind of undersized. Yeah. But was always there at the ball to make the tackle.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what you want, a linebacker. And I can promise that guy's probably had ample opportunities to transfer, and he hasn't. So you got to give the respect to him for that. What else? Who else do you guys have before I go on my list here? Murph, what'd you have?
I had Matt Salopek out of Miami of Ohio. 144 total tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pick. I mean, that defense is going to be loaded coming back for Miami, but he's the heart of that thing. I mean, he is just always around the ball, a sure tackler. You know, you're not, you know, if you meet him in the hole, you're going backwards. So that guy's just an absolute beast, leads that defense. And honestly, I mean, with what they got coming back, I don't see why they can't repeat as MAC champs. And we haven't had a repeat MAC champ in a long time.
Well, and if I may add, before you go, Tip, I had him, and I also had Ty Wise at Miami of Ohio, who had 122 total tackles, 8 sacks, a forced fumble, and a pick. So Ty Wise, 122 tackles, Matt Salopek, 144 tackles. The next guy on the team, 71 tackles. So
that's crazy.
You can pretty much, of 11 defensive players on the field, pretty much like a 75% chance one of those two guys is making the tackle.
I would love to know too how many assisted tackles they had where they were both there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they keep that in depth.
Yeah, both were in on the tackle.
Brother, if you're coming around the corner or hitting a zone read like up the middle, and you see those two boys, you're done.
Well, and again, we were at that game last year, and that defense as a whole, it was like when in that second half, Tip, when we were standing there, you knew Toledo wasn't going to do anything. I mean, you knew the whole question was when Gabbert went down was, can Miami get anything going offensively? Because their defense, you knew that entire second half was going to shut down Toledo. And I'll tell you, that's, to me, I know, and I'm an offensive guy. I like offense. But to me, that's the kind of games you want to watch when a defense is just so dominant. And that's the time when, hey, I mean, God forbid you had a full stadium. That's the time when you can be as loud and obnoxious as you want and have the time of your life. But anyway, so we got those three. Tip, do you have anybody else on that list?
I do, yeah. So, guy out of UNLV, Jackson Woodard, last season he had 116 total tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 pass deflections, and an interception. Last year was his first season at UNLV after transferring from Arkansas. He had played at Arkansas for 2 or 3 seasons prior to coming to UNLV. So this is going to be his senior year coming up. But we know how good UNLV's offense is going to be this year, right? It's up to Woodard and this defense, right, on to do their part on their side of the ball so that this UNLV team can win a lot of football games this year, which I anticipate that they will. Got a couple others. Don't know if you have any more. You guys have any more or not?
Yeah,
Okay,
I got a couple.
Okay, I'll mention one and I'll let you go, Murph. So, out of Tulane, Jesus Machado, last season, 98 tackles, 3 tackles for loss and interception. And the main key that I want to point out with him is he's playing in this John Summerall defense now with Patrick Jenkins there on the line, having to get double teamed every single play. So what's that going to do? That's going to open up that gap and that hole for Jesus to fly through that hole and make those tackles for losses or to run some stunts and get some sacks. I just think the way this defense is gonna work, I think it lines up perfectly for Machado to have a fantastic year coming up. And I got one more honorable mention that I want to mention.
Well, I'll add. I don't know who Jeff's going to add, but I thought you were going to go another route out of Tulane, and that's Tyler Grubbs, transfer out of La Tech, 3-time All-Conference USA, goes to Tulane, and I had basically the exact same comments you had about being in the John Summerall defense with Pat Jenkins and that defensive line. I mean, these guys, what a place to play.
Yeah.
If you're a linebacker, hey, I'm just going to go free and not have to worry about getting a lineman to the second level because I have such an interior presence on the defensive line. Jeff, who else do you have? And I think I had one more that I wanted to hit, but who do you have,
and
Jeff?
I think I know who you're going to hit, so I'm not going to hit that one. I got a couple. Nate Johnson, App State, 7.5 sacks last year. Not a ton, 42 tackles, not a bad season or anything like that, but gets after the quarterback. He's going to be dominant for that defense. Expect a big year out of him.
He did that as a freshman last year too, by the way.
Sure did. Yep. And then Georgia Southern, Marquez Watson Trent, 116 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 2 picks.
That guy's been there a long time.
He reminds me of Jason Henderson. And then before we end this segment, I got one honorable mention that I think is going to be really big, and I got a sound clip for it. So,
but the only other guy I had to add was Chandler Martin out of Memphis, 95 tackles, 17 tackles for loss last year. I mean, God bless.
Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, you got to give on that though. You got to give a lot of that credit to the defensive line though, but he's the one that's getting the stat and 17 tackles for loss. I mean, that's just called hitting the freaking gap and making a play. Go ahead, Jeff.
Tip, did you have anything else?
I just had one more honorable mention. Andrew Simpson, Boise State. Last year he had 66 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections, or 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. So we know Boise State's going to be good all around. So that's a player to watch out for this season.
All right, the last guy that I want to mention, he's a transfer from Holy Cross, came with his coach, and the more I kind of dig in on James Madison, I'm starting to think that they're going to be pretty good. Jacob Dobbs, transfer from Holy Cross, came with his coach, had 122 tackles, 5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He's played a crazy amount of games for Holy Cross, so he's very experienced. I just want y'all to listen to him talk. I was watching Media Day, and this just kind of struck me the way he just articulates the defense.
Jacob, I feel like everybody's talking about this offense. Tell me about the defense. What do you like so far about how this defense is shaping up?
Yeah, I really like what our pillars are on defense, which is leverage and matchups. We're going to pride ourselves on putting ourselves in the best matchups possible, depending on who the opponent is. And I really like the aggressive style that we're able to play with also backing off a little bit at times. I think that we have multiple personnel groups that we can roll out in the field. I think we have multiple schemes that we can implement on a weekly basis. So we don't really have to adjust to offenses as much because we're so multiple in what we can do. So I think what we've done throughout the winter, spring, and now summer with all the playbook that we've been able to install and do, we're going to be way ahead when it comes time to camp, because now you're not going into a game week and you've never practiced something because of what a team presents. We've really gotten ahead of that with all the work we've done so far this offseason.
Does that not sound like a coach?
Well, this guy's going to be a future coach.
I was going to say, you said that was the coach.
No, that's
unbelievable.
That's the transfer linebacker.
I know.
But having a guy, I mean, that's having a coach on the field. He gets it. He's been in the system, been with that head coach. That is going to be a huge key to James Madison staying at where they were, as far as a competitive level and continuing to grow that program. So keep an eye out for Jacob Dobbs, man. He had a great career at Holy Cross. I think it's going to transition to James Madison.
I'll tell you what's funny, man, is in the Sun Belt, it really seems like everybody is dismissing the two teams that have dominated the Sun Belt the last 2 years, and that's James Madison and Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, they both lost their coach, they lost some guys, but those are two places where I think that the culture is in place, and I think to a degree, when you have that in place, regardless of who comes through the locker room or who comes through the coach's office, you're still going to have that winning mentality, and you're just not going to allow for stuff. And yeah, I mean, you talk about that guy. I mean, that's you can't ask for anything better than that, especially bringing in a new coaching staff and a new defensive scheme. To have a guy like that to lead it, it's pretty special. Let's talk offense. So I think we're going to have a consensus on, for sure, the first two, probably the top three. After that, I think this thing kind of, I don't want to say it drops off, but I think the top three are just so high on another level. So I don't want this to look like this is a shot on 4, 5, and 6 or whoever, but top three. I mean, I think number one has got to be Ashton Jeanty, right? Yep. Boise State. Yeah. I mean, the video game knows it. Everybody knows it. He's on everybody's radar at this point. And what's funny is we've talked about this before last year. We had, or at least I know I had, George Halani on the top running backs to list. Boy, the Boise State fans were up in arms about that because we didn't have both of their running backs on the list. But I mean, it turns out they were right. I mean, Jeanty he's on everybody's draft board. He's on everybody's watch list. So there's nobody. Listen, nobody is sleeping on Boise State. That's for sure.
No, they're not, and they got a tough stretch in the beginning of the season. But what's incredible about Jeanty is his pass catching ability too. He almost had 600 yards receiving, another 5 touchdowns. Having that dual threat behind the quarterback is such a huge advantage, because when you try and take away the run game, you can do certain things, but now if you can slip him out, you can play action, then get him into the flat and get that guy in space. Those corners and safeties aren't going to tackle him. He's too strong. He's fast. He's strong. He's a rare combination. So I think he was the clear cut, top guy.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
I think
absolutely. Especially the way
bad.
he moves. Well, just real quick, the way he moves at his size, he's listed at 5'9", 215. So to be that big and physical and to move and run as fast as he does, he's just an incredible player.
Hold on, we got something in the chat here, and I'm gonna say, I mean, it's from Kendrick Melville. He said Jeanty was offered $500K by Power 4 schools, but luckily Boise State was able to keep him with
I believe that,
an NIL deal of $440,000 in a car.
Wow, from who?
I assume they're in. I don't.
Deal?
I assume either they did it through the collective or
probably
a dealership.
Here's the good thing. Here's the good thing about Boise State, and they have something that not a lot of Group of 5 schools have. they are the state school.
Yeah.
They're it. They're the one. So if you're a business person in Idaho or in Boise, and I know Boise, from what I understand, has grown an awful lot in the last decade or so, probably due to the fact that their football team was really good. I mean, and they got more applications to their school, more graduates, more alumni, more new businesses. I don't know, Jeff. I
Isn't
don't
that
know
something?
if that had any kind of a snowball effect, beating
Jeez.
Oklahoma and then beating Oregon and Georgia and Virginia Tech.
What a concept.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that was funny too when Jay Norvell came out talking about Fowler Nicolosi getting Kansas State, and everybody was like, "Why would Kansas State do that? They already have." Of course, they would do that. What are you talking about? And that guy wasn't the starter, and Fowler Nicolosi probably would be the starter if he transferred to Kansas State. So of course they did. I don't understand why. It's these like delusional fans that think just because a guy is a starter at Kansas State that he's automatically better than a starter at Colorado State. And yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. And Nash and Genty, I'm sure that guy could have went anywhere in the country. I'd imagine. I mean, I think other than maybe Ohio State, because they've got they got the Ole Miss kid, and then they already had somebody. But maybe they tried to get him. There's no tell. If somebody offered him $500,000, it wasn't Wake Forest.
No, I mean,
it wasn't Louisville. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, second on the list, I'm sure we're all gonna go Liberty. Quentin Cooley. That guy is stout, man. I was watching some of his film. That guy, a little bowling ball, isn't he?
Yeah.
Both him and Genty passed the calf and glute test. I mean, both of them do. But I did want to bring up something regarding Boise and Liberty. I think it's funny that they kind of came together here. And this is the Liberty fans will like this. The Boise fans probably won't like this. So everybody's up in arms about Liberty getting the New Year's game last year, right? And then they got smoked by Oregon, and everybody's like, "Oh, see, they never should have been there." Well, nobody would doubt Boise State. And I know last year they lost, I think they lose 4 or 5 games, but they won the Mountain West. They had these guys. They had Genty on the team. They had they had Taylon Green. They had Maddox Madsen. They had good players on this roster. But, Liberty lost to Oregon by a large margin. Oregon lost 2 games, both to Washington, both times by 3 points. Boise State played Washington in week 1. And you want to know what the final score was of that game? I don't hear anybody talking about Boise State not belonging in games like this. 56-19. Okay? Now, I know, week 1, I know things change. Boise historically gets better as the season goes. But, I mean, I just, Liberty fans, if I was y'all, I know the SMU fans wanted to be in. SMU got smoked every time they played a decent
Didn't
team,
they lose
too.
to Boston College?
They lost to TCU and somebody like that. So, I mean, hey, I think, guys, Liberty deserved it. They earned it. They just ran into one of the best 3 teams in the country, and that team was very good. And I will also add that I think it was a bit of a down-ish year at the Group of 5 level. I think Liberty was clearly the one that earned it. If they weren't the best, I don't know that anybody was a whole lot better. I don't think Liberty was a Tulane of 2 years ago or, some of the UCF teams we've had in the past couple of years. But anyway, it's like they ran into a team that was 6 points away from playing for a national championship.
Yeah.
So anyway, is that who y'all had? Did y'all have Cooley at 2?
I did, yeah.
And then
I did
3.
not, but
So you probably had who I have at 3 then. Who'd you have at 2, Jeff?
I had Ismail Mahdi.
Oh, okay. So I had a 3.
I just think he's just a dynamic player in that offense. He gets out in space, man. And you're not catching him. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, had some receiving yards and another touchdown. Just think he's a great back, and I think he's due, for an even better season this year.
I want to add a little bit onto that as well. So last year he had 20 receptions, 275 receiving yards, and a touchdown. I mean, that's good for a running back. I think those numbers will improve this year because of Jordan McLeod. So his 2 starting running backs at JMU, he had Kalen Black, who had 27 receptions, and Tyson Lawton had 19. So 46 combined receptions for both of the running backs at JMU. So I think I think Marty gets well over 20 receptions this year, and I think he's going to improve on these stats this upcoming season.
Yeah. Well, and Jeff, you mentioned Genty being really good out of the backfield. Marty led the country in all-purpose yards last year. So he's the the smaller home run threat every time he touches the ball kind of guy. Then I'm assuming you had Cooley at 3, Jeff.
Yeah.
Now, Tip, did you have Marty at 3?
I had Marty at 3.
Okay.
Yes.
So at 4,
Splitting
I
hairs.
went. Yeah, that's all that is. At 4, I went Mekhi Hughes out of Tulane. I think this is a guy that's just getting started, and I think this year, without a Michael Pratt, I think he's going to be a little more of the focal point of the offense. And I think based on the way that their defense plays, I think they're going to want to run the ball a whole lot. So I think Mekhi Hughes is due for a really big year.
Yeah, and I was listening.
It could be the negative. Oh, go ahead, Murph.
I was just going to say I was listening to Summerall talk on the American Media Day today, and he said when he got to really dive into the film and saw him last year, I mean, he just always falls forward. He never gets pushed back. Like, even if he's met at the line of scrimmage, he's falling forward for 2 years. And he was a freshman last year. Like, you got to think. Like, this guy's a freshman and had a fantastic year, and it's only going to get better because if Ty Thompson wins that job, I mean, even Horton's very athletic too. Their QB run game is going to be a big part of that offense, and Troy didn't have a guy like that. So when you add that element into this offense, and they got guys on the outside that can go get it too, I mean, whether you throw it, whether the running back runs or the quarterback is a threat now to keep it, I don't know how you stop an offense like that. If it's ran, if you got a quarterback that can run it and make the right reads, it could very well be an unstoppable situation down in New Orleans.
Yeah, so that was going to be my slight little worry, I guess, about Hughes. I don't know if worry is the right word, but you had defenses last year that had to keep an eye on Hughes, but then also had to keep an eye on Michael Pratt out back there throwing the ball all over the field. You just got to, like you mentioned, Murph, you got to have, whether if it's Horton or Thompson, you got to have a quarterback that comes in there and makes the right reads on all the plays. And if that happens, like you said, Murph, you're going to have a three-headed monster. You're going to have Hughes running the ball. You're going to have the quarterback running the ball. And if they can make effective throws all over the field, then Hughes is going to put up huge numbers again this year.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, people don't think Tulane is going to be as good, but I think they're about to be real scary. As quickly as John Summerall is able to get his teams bought in, I mean, that guy turned Troy completely around. He ain't walking into no turnaround in New Orleans. So, try to speed it up a little bit. I had a guy, I don't think a lot of people are talking about him, and it's probably because a lot of people are not talking about his university, but I got Anthony Watkins out of Tulsa. Second half of the year, he started getting a lot more carries. He is by far going to be the best player on that roster. He was getting towards the end of the year 20, 21 carries. I'm looking for him 25 touches a game at least if they're going to want to stay in games. Anybody else that y'all had?
Yeah, I had a few. So go to NIU and Tario Brown. Last year he had almost 1,300 rushing yards. You guys know I'm a big yards per carry guy. This guy had 6.1 yards per carry last season, 10 touchdowns, and had another touchdown receiving. He's just an explosive running back, and we talk about maybe NIU makes a little run this year in the MAC, and it's going to be behind Ontario Brown. Speaking of yards per carry,
If you don't mind, Tip,
go ahead.
Just one more thing on NIU. He's absolutely what NIU is supposed to be, and they doubled his carries from 22 to 23. If NIU wants to be what they were when they won the MAC with Coach Hammock, that run the ball, physical, tough, blue collar, and you got a chance. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So honorable mention, transfer to JMU from North Texas, Ayo Adai. So last year at North Texas, rushed for just over 1,000 yards, 7.1 yards per carry. So this guy only had 143 carries last year. He had 6 touchdowns, also had 7 receptions in the backfield. But you get that carry number up into the 200 number at 7.1. He might not exactly get 7.1 yards per carry, but I mean, JMU is not looking to take a step back, right? So they're looking to win and have success, the same success that they did last season. So you bring in a running back like this that's explosive, that had 7.1 yards per carry on 143 carries. You increase those numbers up, he should have well over 1,000 yards, pushing 1,400 plus yards rushing this season.
That's a really good one. I had him too. Jeff, who else do you have?
Yeah, and a couple just names real quick, honorable mentions as well. Fresno State running back Malik Sherrod, almost 1,000 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. Jalen Buckley out of Western Michigan. I loved him last year. This kid's a home run threat every time he touches the ball. Another 1,000-yard back. I think I said this right. Rajay Harris out of ECU. He's been injured, but everybody's talking about this kid and that he's going to have a big year. So another name to look.
He's been there a long time too.
He has been there a long time. So looking for a big year out of him. I got to hear Mike Houston talk today, and I was impressed with what he had to say. A lot of that team's gonna hinge on the quarterback position, but he feels good about their QB situation. And the last two I have is Mario Anderson, the running back for Memphis. He's a transfer from South Carolina. He was their leading running back last year. Got hurt, but he's coming into a loaded offense already, especially on the outside. And with our guy leaving last year at the running back position, it's wide open. So I think he's going to be a huge step into that role and be a huge fit. And then I'm going to go the entire UTSA running back room. And I pulled a clip from Trailer today. He kind of talked about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted to go, Coach. You had Frank Harris for 7 years. Transitions out now. You got a couple young guys. The running back room's deep. A lot of people are saying it's a 3-headed monster. Will you use all 3 of those backs, and talk about that group? Because I think you're going to rely on running the ball this year a lot more than maybe normal.
Yeah, we are. We also got some really good additions on our O-line. We feel very good about that. Our tight ends are all back.
Yeah.
Kavorian Barnes is back at running back. Rocco's back at running back. Robert Henry's back at running back. We also brought in a running back that we feel really good about. Bryson, that I've known forever, played for my brother in high school. We're really deep at running back, to your point.
Yeah.
We'll use them. We've needed them all.
Yeah.
The running backs, I've always had the philosophy they're kind of like boxers. I don't like riding one like I rode Sincere McCormick, but we only had one back then. I'd rather those guys each carry the ball 10 times a game instead of one of them carry it 30 times a game, just so their longevity and their potential playing in the NFL.
Look out for that entire room, because we know Kavorian Barnes. We saw him in that Conference USA championship game a few years ago. Special player, but, I mean, with Frank Harris being gone, I think they're going to really lean on that run game, like you said. So look out for the entire room. I don't know who's going to get the most carries.
Where were the AAC media days at?
They're in Texas, I think.
Somewhere. Are they at a freaking piano bar? The hell was that? You think they have that going on at the SDC media days?
I don't know. No, you want to know what's worse? Do you think that ESPN would ever somehow not have the broadcast for the SEC or Big Ten media days, except Conference USA? You couldn't get it, for whatever reason. But of course, Group of 5 conference. Yeah, who cares? We'll just record it and we're going to upload it later. They would never do that for the SEC. Never.
I thought you were talking about something else there, Jeff. I thought you were going politics on me again.
Dallas. Scotty B says
you were talking about a recording.
No.
I know.
Scotty B says it's in Dallas.
That was unbelievable. Trailer's in the middle of the thing, and Scott Storch starts playing piano, making a new beat for Fat Joe. Yeah, that's gonna be. I had Kavorian Barnes just by himself on there. I agree with that. I had a couple of honorable mentions too. A guy that's been there forever. We've been talking about him a lot. Harrison Whaley at Wyoming. 5 games over 100 yards on the ground last year. Only 5 touchdowns. I think I get that guy in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then I had Jalen White at Georgia Southern. Almost identical stats the last 2 years. But I think he's going to have better numbers if Georgia Southern wants any part of the Sun Belt this year. Do you guys have anybody else? on the running back side? I'll tell you what. I'm about to put myself on mute here, and just let Tip go. I don't know what route you went here, Tip. If you went just kickers and punters, if you went long snappers, I don't know if you dug that deep. But the
How
floor
deep
is
you go,
yours,
Tip?
Tyler.
I have all three.
Just
Listen, specialists, listen, we gotta shout these guys out, because they decide the game sometimes, whether
Sure do.
win or loss. They sometimes do. Before I start naming all these guys off, Murph, did you have any guys you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I'm sure your list is way more extensive than mine. Jonah Damas, the kicker out of Boise State, 88%. I mean, that's a fantastic percentage there. 24 for 27 on the year. And then Mason Shipley out of Texas State. Kid was 15 for 15 on the season. I know the volume might not quite have been there, but I don't care what you say. You go 100% in anything. That's a hell of a season. So look for him to continue that. And then I do have a returner. Tip, did you have a returner?
I didn't know.
ooh,
Jacob DeJesus out of UNLV. This guy is electric. Anytime he gets his hands on the ball, punt return, kick return. If you're playing UNLV or you're watching him, better keep an eye out for the punt and kick returns. This guy's an electric player. Tip, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'll go with kickers first. So I had Jonah Damas as my number one kicker out of Boise State. He had a 56-yard field goal last year. This year, he's already kicked a 60-yard field goal over the over the stadium swim pool in Las Vegas. I don't know if you all saw that clip or not.
I did.
He had a 60-yard field goal over a pool in Las Vegas. So this guy's my number one kicker going into this year. I got two others I want to shout out. Michael Hughes out of App State. Last year, he was 19 for 22 on field goals, so 86%. He had a long of a 54-yarder, which was the game winner against Louisiana Monroe, which, Sprouse, we watched that happen live somewhere. Where were we? Were we in was that at Miami of Ohio where we watched that? I don't remember. I feel like we watched it.
We watched them lose to Old Dominion when we were at Brick Street at Miami. But I think it was the week before or the week after, and I think we were
somewhere together. And
I agree. I think we were somewhere.
Yes.
We might have been in Myrtle Beach. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
But
remember.
we did, yeah.
Okay, yes. And he made all 54 of his extra point attempts last year. So and then one more kicker I want to shout out, Chase Allen at UTSA. He's 87% on his field goal attempts last year. He had a long of 53 yards, and he made all 49 of his extra point attempts. Moving on to punters. Before I go into the punters for this year, Sprouse, I do have to ask you a question. Are your Dolphins going to sign former MTSU punter Kyle Ulbrich? We got to shout this out. Our boy Kasky sent this to us earlier today. Sprouse, can you elaborate a little more on this?
Well, to be frank, I'm not usually a fan of this type of a stunt. I think there's a time. I think typically I would be like, all right, bro, give it up. But I think the special teams one is a little bit different, right? Because you could potentially go out there one time and punt now. But it's pretty funny. He's got a couple of posters and signs. He's got a little UR or a what do you call QR code that I think takes you directly to his highlights. But my favorite bullet point he had on there was he said as a player, he is undefeated at Hard Rock Stadium, which of course is an ode to the Blue Raiders going down there and smacking around the Hurricanes a couple years ago. But hey, it'd be cool. It'd be a cool story if he goes. I don't know if I want my Dolphins to take that chance though. We got a guy. Dolphins, I think, got to put. Plus, we ain't punting, buddy. We're gonna have the number one offense in the NFL.
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
as long as the weather's above 70 degrees, right? And
Well, it ain't gonna be in Hard Rock Stadium anyway. Can Kyle Ulbrich punt in freezing cold weather? I mean, God forbid if the fans can't go to the game because it's too dangerous in Buffalo, then I don't need Tua somewhere colder where fans actually did get hurt seriously. I think honestly there should be an investigation into that. We should have, not only should we have the Secret Service in Congress right now, testifying, we need to have the NFL officials that decided that they would cancel the game in Buffalo and not cancel the one in Kansas City with colder. But anyway, I don't think he's punting in that weather.
Those hearings are useless.
Ahead,
they just don't answer the questions the entire time. So, anyways,
I wish I was just not accountable for my career. It just ever. Anyway,
take it away, Tip, again.
Today, though, didn't she?
All right, so moving on to the punters for this season. Back to Boise State we go. James Ferguson Reynolds. Last year, this guy averaged 49.7 yards per punt, which led the entire nation. He had 29 punts of 50 yards or further. This guy's got an absolute boot, and I think he's going to repeat it this year, and you'll probably see this guy kicking on Sundays. Next guy out of Eastern Michigan, Mitchell Tomasek. Last year, first-team All-MAC, averaged 45.7 yards per punt. He kicked the ball inside the 20-yard line 24 times on 67 punts. That's 36% of his punts landed inside the 20-yard line. He had 20 punts over 50 yards, and his longest punt of the season was a 72-yard boot. You absolutely love to see that. Last punter I want to mention, out of UNLV, Marshall Nicholas. Last year averaged 47.1 yards per punt. He forced 23 fair catches and kicked the ball inside the 20 18 times on 51 punts. So on his fair catches, 45% of his punts were fair catches. That's what you absolutely love to see if you're a coach, special team coach, defense, whatever the case may be. They're not even getting an opportunity to move the ball on those punts. And then 35% of his punts were inside the 20-yard line. Now let's move to the long snappers. I do have a couple of guys I want to shout out because they are on the list for next year's 2025 NFL draft prospects. You have Ethan Hudak out of Tulane. Then you also have Nate Merchant out of Coastal Carolina. And I also just want to throw this little tidbit in here. I was looking at the Coles kicking camp. It's a very prestige kicking camp. So I went onto their website. 5 out of the top 24 long snappers in the class of 2024 signed to Group of 5 teams. You had the number 7 long snapper Kevin Fay. He's committed to Troy. Number 9 long snapper Jonathan Zarut he's committed to Memphis. Ty Smith, he's the number 15th ranked long snapper. He's going to Boise State. Number 22 long snapper Sam Wolfenden, he's committed to UNLV. And James Helms, number 24 long snapper, he's committed to Air Force. So, like to see that some of these top long snappers, top specialists in this Coles kicking camp committing to Group of 5 schools. So absolutely love to see it, and can't wait to see all these specialists shine this upcoming year.
Very well done. Very well done.
Well done, Tip. Well done. That Coles kicking camp. I remember Blaine Sitters used to work for Coles kicking camp. Blaine Sitters is the second best long snapper of all time out of Middle Tennessee, right behind Zeke Anderson.
That's
right.
Safe to say, Tip is a specialist.
Wow, guru.
I like it.
That was good. I was
You're
wondering
welcome.
how you were going to
You're
come up with long snappers. If you were what was going to be your criteria there? I'll tell you, I noticed a trend though on all of these lists. A lot of UNLV, a lot of Boise State, a lot of Tulane. I mean, special teams. I know we're kind of joking about it, but all those guys are going to win a game or two, or
lose a game.
Or lose a game. Yeah. So hopefully, none of those guys will, well, I don't want to jinx anybody. Doesn't that always happen? They'll be like, this guy is 16 of 16 on the year. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, I thought as you were talking, I had something in my head, and I had another rant that I was going to go on. Oh, I got it. I know exactly what it is. One more thing that pissed me off this weekend before we go.
Angry Dad Sprouse is in the building.
I tweeted. Well, You know what it is, dude? It's because now I used to be. Well, I am still this way. When I see something, I'm just like, that's what I do. Like 100 times a day, I see something and I just go, yeah. But and so now I have you guys I can talk to it about. I can vent to. But I'm noticing this trend, right? With this, I tweeted about it yesterday or today. This video game comes out, right? And everybody's playing with these group of 5 schools. And the one guy that really was the straw that really broke my back on this was Brandon Walker over there at Barstool. That guy hasn't had a good take in his career, first of all. But he tweets about he's playing with Miami, Ohio. And he's like, I need to know everything. This is what he tweets. He says something like, I need to know everything about the football program at Miami of Ohio. I want to know fight songs, this, that, phrases, catchphrases, all this stuff. And as I read that, it to me, they're mocking it, right? I can't be the only one that feels this way. I feel like it's a disrespectful way to do it because it's like, number one, and then all the comments underneath it were like kind of laughing and joking about, bro, they won 11 games last year. Like this is not some slap group of 5 team. Number one, and they when they had a chance to play the Power 5, they beat them on the road at Cincinnati. But you know, I just I don't know. I just read it as kind of disrespectful, and it's bugging me that people are playing with these group of 5 teams like they're these fans. Everybody's talking about Brown at South Florida about how good he is. Like, yeah, dude, watch a real game and see it for yourself. It's not the video game. Like, go watch a real game and see. Go, Brandon Walker, Barstool, go up there to Oxford. Although, hell, you got a Barstool poster on the bar in Oxford. Did you go to the football game when you were there? I mean, for God's sakes.
Doubt it.
I don't know.
TNS says, Sprouse, welcome to the Grumpy Old Man Club.
When does that happen? Like, is it just as soon as you have a kid it happens?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you have a couple kids and then you start really getting into like World War II history. Like if you watch World War II documentaries, you know. By the way, there's a great one on Netflix.
Have you seen that Shane Gillis?
Yeah.
Have you seen that Shane Gillis? Like, by the way, being a history buff is early onset Republican.
Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, do we have any voicemails?
No, we don't. We need some of you guys calling in, leaving voicemails. We're getting close to the season, so call, vent, give us a hot take, call us out, whatever you want at 615-900-4286. The number is always live. You can even text it if you want. If you don't want to leave a voicemail, if you want to, lose your virginity that way, you can go ahead and do it that way. But call us. We want to hear from you guys.
I would love to do a segment every show where we have like the angry old man voicemail, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah,
but
we can start that now.
That'd be good if we can get one. If we can get everybody to call. Yeah. But anyway, hope you guys liked the show, man. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Enjoyed the live chat today. Thank you everybody for watching, listening, and following and supporting. Make sure you follow us on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Subscribe to the channel, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Tell your family and friends all about us. We got wide receivers, O-line, D-line. Next show should be electric. Y'all have a good night.